so today we're going to make a video covering all the changes that we made with the OG Fireball. A lot of people have asked us why we did some of the things that we did, what all we did to it. They're asked some very involved questions, so we're going to answer this in the most detailed way we can. I may miss some stuff, and if I do, just post in the comments and I'll try to answer it. I want to tell everybody thank you very much for following us. If you're watching the video, subscribe. We're going to do a giveaway here soon. We're going to do a giveaway at like 50,000. We're going to do a giveaway at 100,000. Our 100,000 is going to be something big. Hey, where are you going? Okay, sorry. We're going to do a couple giveaways. So please subscribe. We're going to have our giveaway up going soon, like very soon. Colton behind the camera is going to figure that out. Yep. And as soon as, probably with this video, we're going to have to get we're going to gear the giveaway up. That's really hard to say. So it's going to be something cool. I don't know what it is yet, but I'll announce it. If you haven't got your diecast collectibles, check those out. They are on BNRperformance.com. So we will start with the most obvious thing that's right in front of our faces. Everybody asked me, why did I change the front clip? Why did I go to a 6th gen front clip? And why did I change the headlights and blah, blah, blah. So first of all, I'm going to answer these questions with this. This is the same exact front clip as what was on it. It is a Shonut Composites clip that we made, that we kind of formed the hood. We did modify it a little bit because the way the firewall is made now, which you'll see here in a minute, it comes up pretty high in the corners. So if you'll notice, it doesn't, normally these things are cut down back here and it's more flat right there. This rolls up to kind of cover the cowl, which you'll see here in a minute. But it's the same front clip as we have always had. It's still a 5th gen front clip. The only difference is it has a 6th gen style headlight. So it is basically, I don't even know who makes it, I can't remember, but somebody, I found these on maybe eBay or something. Somebody made these headlights, they're pretty nice, and they look similar to the 6th gen lights. Okay? They're just a copy basically. And so I thought it's cool, it would spice the car up a little bit. Honestly, this car, the headlights weren't always great, but that car, the headlights were awesome. So I was just trying to get it to where I could see better, but everybody thinks I changed the front clip. I didn't. It's still a 5th gen front clip. So next, Hav, you want to grab us a Zeus tool, and we'll pull the front clip off and start showing everybody under the hood.
Yeah, you want to talk about that carbon fiber hole down there in the bottom?
Oh yeah, let's talk about the carbon fiber hole in the bottom. One of the most visual things you can see right off the bat is used to have turbo holes in it. Doesn't anymore. It's got one big hole in the front, and behind that big hole is a Pro Charger. And you guys have seen videos, so a lot of my subscribers know. Most everybody knows now because we've been posting videos and everything. But we changed the car to a Pro Charger. It used to be an Alan Johnson 481X with twins. Sometimes it would have 88s, sometimes it would have 98s, depending on where we raced, how much power we were trying to make.
If we were doing real fun racing, we'd have 106s, 104s.
Yeah, right. Okay, so here we are under the hood. Obviously, the obvious changes are it's got a Pro Charger on it now. So we got rid of the turbos. It's got big old zoomies. That currently has a smaller Pro Charger on it. It's a F3 121. 121 is what I decided to use for the street. It is not, that thing is not too overpowering, and it's tunable as far as manageable to turn down on the street. If you get a bad road, you can turn it down. If you get in a good road, you can turn it up. That 140 that's on my other car is considerably a lot, and it's hard to turn down, and it's hard to get in check, and so this blower works a lot better. But things that we did. So if you watched the first YouTube video of us tearing the car apart, it had a lot to do with, like, we stripped the whole car, and we told you we were going to make big changes on it. So when I got this car back in 2014, it was a previous build for a 10.5 car, an Outlaw 10.5 in the East Coast. And what that meant is the motor was far forward. It was a long wheelbase car and the motor was far forward. That is perfect for 10.5 stuff. At the time, that's what everybody was doing and it worked good. These days, for what is most popular is big tire stuff. No prep racing, obviously, is huge. Any big tire stuff is big right now, whether it's prepped or not prepped or whatever. But because of that, the style, the chassis changed. In my opinion, to have a good big tire car, you want the motor a little farther back, and you want the weight percentages close to 50-50, somewhere around there. This car was, so for the past, since 2014 to now, we've raced this car at 56, 57% on the nose, and it's 56, 57% on the nose, and the motor was really far forward. Some of you guys out there know a little bit about chassis stuff, so I'll go ahead and tell you the numbers. The mid-plate to axle center line on this car was 92 inches. 92 inches is a lot. Had a big old long 50, what was the drive shaft, 54 inches?
54 and a half, something
Yeah,
like that.
54 and a half inch drive shaft, and everything was far forward. So the first thing everybody said was, that was in the know, was that ain't gonna work. It ain't never gonna work, it's never gonna work, it's never gonna work. The motor's too far forward. It's gonna knock the tires off the street, it's not gonna work. Obviously we got to work, we've done pretty well. But anytime I've ever struggled with this car, it has been because of that. It's been because the motor was far forward. You can tune around a lot of things if you know how to tune. If you know how to power manage pretty well, you can calm it down in certain spots or whatever. So we were able to do all that, and obviously you guys know we've been pretty successful at No Prep Kings. Won a championship, came in second twice, and really with a car that it just wasn't really made to be doing what it was doing, but we made it work. We did things like we moved the turbos. So the turbos, when I first got the car, were up here in the front, and we took the turbos, and you guys remembered the turbos were back here behind the tires. Well, by moving roughly 65 pounds apiece from the front bumper area to behind the tires, it did help our weight percentage. So we were able to get the weight percentages closer to 53 or 52 on the 52 or 53 on the nose, which made us for a little bit better race car. So about midway through, we figured out some tricks to make it work, and so we did pretty good with it. But what I said was, if I ever had the opportunity to make it to where we could make a better race car out of it, that's what I was going to do. And we had a window. We had 4 or 5 months, what looked to be 4 or 5 months after we were filming in Nebraska. And I said, let's cut it up and let's make it a better car. So, as you saw in the first video, we stripped everything out of it. Wiring, which was a mess. The same wiring that's been in the car
wiring
since
was a mess.
2000. It was disgusting, man. Same wiring that's been in the car since 2014, 2015, and we've added to it here and there, and we've added systems and inputs and outputs and shock sensors, and so we just kept adding. So before you know it, it looked like spaghetti inside there, So I was glad to get that out. Let's see what else. So the very first thing we did is cut the firewall out. Okay, so very good friends with the guys at RK Racecraft. Ryan at RK Racecraft is who does all the chassis work for me for the most part. And he's in Georgia. And so what I told him was, I want to move the motor back 12 inches. So I had a 92-inch axle to mid-plate center line. Sorry, mid-plate to axle center line was 92 inches, as I mentioned before. I wanted it to be 80. At 80, it should put me at 50-50. And so that was when I went there, I said, I don't care what we got to do. I want the motor 12 inches back. I didn't get what I wanted exactly. So it turns out we could only get it back 10 inches. We couldn't get those other 2 inches. You don't think that's very much, but everybody knows 2 inches is better. So that being said, another 2 inches would have really helped, but we didn't get it. We only got 10. So the reason why is because all the pedals and stuff. We're going to take you inside the car here in a minute. You can come check it out, but you can only go so far back before you have to redo everything on the inside of the car. And we redid a lot. We didn't want to chop up where my feet ended up. It was starting to get to where when the motor was so far back with the firewall where it was, it was getting crowded as I was sitting in it, because I would go out to Georgia every now and then. I'd sit in the car and we'd go, okay, this is where we think it's going to be, and it was okay, but it was got to be a little bit crowded. Where it is right now ended up being perfect. So we all kind of made the right call, and I actually didn't get the choice on that. Ryan just said, I'm going back 10 inches. That's all I can do. I don't know if you want more. We're going to have to chop more of the car up. We talked about the next step. I didn't want to go that far, so we settled at 10 inches. So we moved this motor back. Okay, so you guys know it used to have 481, and now has a Hemi in it. I made the change in December of 2019 with the gray car to do a Hemi and a Pro Charger. And a lot of people don't know that's when we did that, how long ago it was. but we did it because we had already been talking with Pro Charger and Pro Line, and we knew that it was the upcoming thing. A lot of the Pro Mod cars that were racing were going to that combo. We knew it was awesome. There was other guys that were running a similar combo to that at the time. Megalodon had been running it for several years, and look, there was occasional there where he was always a thorn in our side. So we knew that combination was good, and that if somebody would really try to concentrate on it, they could probably perfect it and make it work really good for no prep. So we opted to do that. But when COVID happened, we couldn't show everybody the car yet. We were trying to hold the car back for NPK. We thought season 4 NPK was going to happen last year. It didn't happen. I was trying to keep the car under wraps to surprise all you guys with it for NPK, and obviously that didn't happen either. A bunch of photos and stuff got leaked, videos got leaked. The guy that we put a clear bra on that car to protect the paint, and the guy that did the clear bra, he did what he was supposed to do, but he just didn't realize he held onto these photos for a year, and all of a sudden, boom, he blasted them out there, and everybody knew about it, knew what color it was and everything. So, and knew of the changes was the big thing. Everybody's seen the car and the color at PRI in what, 2019? Was that 2019?
Was it 19 or 18?
I don't know.
It was 19.
It was 19. Yeah, it was 2019. Everybody saw the car color in 2019, but at the time it had 481X and twins. So we changed that real quickly. One thing I'll say, kind of let the cat out of the bag. Another reason why. So basically, I put a Hemi in this to match the other car. I was able to share spare parts between both cars, so I didn't have to double up on spares before. With that car having a Hemi and a Pro Charger, and this car having a 481X and twins, it was a lot more spares. We race a lot. We race on the street a lot. We race on the track when MPK is going on a lot. Both the cars were going to take an ass kicking and abusing, and we knew that spare parts were going to be a must. Financially, this was a better decision for me to sell both the 481s, basically all 3 481s that I had, and buy 3 Hemis. Because otherwise, one of the cars wasn't going to have spare engine. In this way, both cars technically have 2 spares, because you've got, which I haven't even got it yet, but when I get the spare for basically these, I'll be able to have a spare sitting there ready to go if we tear this up, so we can concentrate on still doing the racing that we're doing. And hey, it's happened. And if I tear that up, then I've got one in the other car we can take out. So rarely will you ever see these out at the same time. They're not going to both be racing the No Prep Kings. This is going to be the street car. That's going to be the No Prep car.
Right. What was that? Tulsa? Whenever the 481 blew and you had to like swap the motor.
Yeah. Tulsa season 1. Season 1 lost the championship to Birdman, and it wasn't really because of that motor deal, but that was one of those times where it's a good thing we have a spare motor, because if we wouldn't have, we would have had no chance of winning. Turns out we didn't win, but we would have been way short by several rounds if we wouldn't have had a motor to put in that. So that's why we do that. That's what we do. And listen, when you've got, like with No Prep Kings, you got a couple $100,000 on the line. If you got a couple $100,000 on the line to win No Prep Kings, plus the races, that was $50,000 at the time, you're talking about $250,000. And yeah, these motors are expensive, but when you're racing for $250,000, sometimes you got to do what you got to do to make sure you have the right components and the right parts and things like that. And a lot of guys know that that's how I race, and because of that, a lot of people are always at the trailer going, "Can I borrow this? Can I borrow that?" Hell, Dave borrowed a motor from me. I'm sure you guys seen that. But and I'll always do that for guys as long as they do it for me. But back to the car. So it's got a Hemi, it's got a Pro Charger. The motor's been moved back. Fuel cell's kind of cool. The way they did the fuel cell here, it's about 5.5 or 6 gallons, but we didn't want to restrict the airflow to the Pro Charger. So as you can see, it's got a big hole right through the middle of it. It's pretty neat how they did it. Very roomy in here, really efficient. This car actually has more room than my gray car. So when and if we ever have to change Pro Chargers, there's plenty of room to pull the Pro Charger off in 20 minutes. We can have the thing off and have another one on it. To touch on some more things here, just to kind of give you guys a little insight. So a lot of people have asked me, why does it blow smoke out the back? Okay, so I'm gonna answer that question too. So before, the reason why I blew smoke out the back is because from these valve covers, these little guys were turned around facing this way. There was a fitting in the firewall and 2 -20 hoses that went all the way back to a box back there. So basically the vent for the valve covers were all the way in the trunk. And so what you would see is condensation smoke. So it would be cool at night or whatever, you get heat from the motor, create condensation, fill the box up, start steaming, totally normal. It was not nitrous, CO2. I had a lot of cool stuff. People were saying they thought it was nitrous CO2, you name it, they thought it was, but that's not it. It was just that. One of the things we changed, which is pretty cool, which has a lot to do with this, is now you see these things, which do the same thing, are pointed forward, and if you follow the hose, it goes boom into the top frame rail. So what they did was, these upper frame rails got changed completely because of where the motor location was, because that is where the mid plate's tied in. So what was cool was they sealed these off completely all the way through the car to the back, okay? So now the breather goes into the upper frame rail. Upper frame rail is hollow, goes all the way to the back of the car, has a fitting at the back of the car with a small little hose that goes into the tank. So the cool thing was we lost 35 pounds of dash 20 that goes all the way to the back of the car by simply sealing the upper frame rails, putting it into the upper frame rails. The upper frame rails do hold condensation, so we put these drains in right here. So basically between rounds, we'll crack these dash 6A end caps, and you'll see some alcohol run out or whatever the case is. But all the drain is into the chassis. So for me, like one of the main reasons, like other than the fact that the motor was forward, but the next thing was this car was heavy. It's always heavy. No matter what I could do, because contrary to what everybody says of being a pro mod, and everybody says all these cars are pro mods, but they're not. They're actually original steel roof and quarter cars. Because of that, they are heavy. Because when you try to take a car like that used to be a car, you turn it into a race car, doesn't matter how much stuff you cut out of it, it's always heavy. So one of the things I wanted to do was concentrate on getting rid of weight. Okay, so how do we get this thing lighter? How do we get it lighter? We do things like make the firewall, which is now titanium, okay? Called up my buddy. I have a very good friend, Todd at TMS. TMS is a titanium solutions company. They provide the racing industry with titanium, and probably other professional industries too. And him and I are friends, and I told him my project, and I said, hey, we're gonna do everything we can to try to make this thing light. He said, cool, I want to help. And so he gave me some ideas on some things to make out of titanium, as well as Ryan came up with some stuff, as well as I came up with some stuff. He says the material to build the whole firewall out of titanium. That lost a lot of weight in itself. Like cool stuff like, I mean, look, little things like the mount for the fuel tank, the cover for the fuel tank is titanium. There's a lot of little things in this car that we went through and made titanium. The engine tunnel is now titanium. And again, everything was in the name of trying to save weight. We did get this car down to, so the total weight of the car now with me in it is 2750, 2755. And that's the lightest this car's ever been. With twins on it, we got it to like 2910, but we always had to race at 3050, you know, so
always adding weight.
We were always even though the car was heavy, we were always adding weight, but that's why there were certain surfaces that it didn't work as good as I wanted it to. With the weight down where it is now, we can make this thing work in, I mean, almost anywhere. It works so much better, it's ridiculous. A lot of people ask why did you make the change? Why'd you do it? You took a proven combination and you threw it out the window. You had millions of tune-ups and you put this and you don't know anything about it. And they're right. That is exactly what we did. It had a lot to do with they kept adding weight on us. We would do well in No Prep Kings 1, we didn't have weight. No Prep Kings 2, we had weight. No Prep Kings, see you, man. You guys have a good day. No Prep Kings 3 was even more weight. Before you know it, we had to race at 30-50. There was rumors for No Prep Kings 4, if I kept my combination, we were gonna have to be 31-50. We were getting penalized for tires. We were getting penalized for, honestly, I just think we were getting penalized because we ran good. And so, while everybody was looking over at the No Prep, you know, at the No Prep rules, and they were just waiting the death out of that twin turbo thing, I said, you know what, there's now such a gap between a Pro Charge Timmy and a twin turbo 481, we took advantage of it. There's almost a 400-pound difference. And we were able to get the car light enough when we cut it up, and that's why I made the change. It's risky, not because I know this combination works good. By now, we've had both cars out and they both haul ass. But even beforehand, it was risky for me because I don't know, I wasn't sure, can we make this thing work on the street? Because it worked on the street before and it worked good. Even though there was a lot of things that wasn't quite right about it, it worked well, and you couldn't say anything other than that. And so, trust me, I thought the same thing everybody else thought. Is this the right move? Am I doing the right thing? Turns out, I personally think we made the right move. And listen, all my turbos are sitting over there on the shelf. Those guys at Precision were good to me. They did, they went above and beyond when I continued to have turbos in the car, and we had some turbo issues, and they tried to help me solve them and things like that. And so they're sitting right over there. You never know. This thing may end up with turbos back on it. If the rules start going the other way, we're gonna adapt. See, bro. So we saved all the turbo stuff. We never know when we might go back that direction. Right now, this is the thing, and I love this combination. So it's going to be hard to pry this out of my hands, but we'll see. As rules change, we just may have to adapt, and that's just what we'll do. One of the things that we did too is you heard me talk about trying to keep. Hey, I just realized we have a broken.
Oh yeah, I see that.
We have a broken.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Apparently those weren't long enough.
Apparently they're not long enough, which is crazy. Well, you can see that too. So basically, I'm breaking stuff more.
Oh, yeah.
So we've been beating this car up pretty good on the street lately, and apparently I just realized that the shock sensors are apparently too short, possibly.
That would be the only thing.
Definitely
Only
something
thing I
fishy.
can think of, because it pulled these apart. So we're going to mess with that here in a minute. But over here in this area, you see these Santoff struts right here. With the Santoff struts, I wanted to try to keep my cars relatively close to the same, and down to even the shocks and struts. So this car actually had a longer strut assembly on it before, and we decided to make both cars the same. So I copied the ones off the new car because the new car worked so well, which made us have to completely redo this bar right here. So this bar is also new, so all the strut cup mounting stuff is new, but it makes both struts from both cars the same. So I can bounce back and forth if I need to, or get run into a problem. Heck, we could probably go over the new car and rob the shock mount off of it if we have to. This has cool adjustable strut cups. So if you look down in here, this pocket's threaded, and so you can change ride height of the car by going up and down with the strut cups as well. So you don't just have to change coilovers. You don't have to spin the coil up and down to change ride height. You can change the strut cup. So it makes your travel the same as far as the strut goes. Oh yeah, we rewired the whole car. It used to have Raceback Fuel Tech, Hyperactive. That's the stuff that we use. It all worked great. The combination was awesome. But it was me plugging a computer into 3 different boxes every time we tuned it. Now we don't have to do that. Everything's Fuel Tech. It simplified everything. You can barely see any wires. Obviously, you can see how nice and tidy and everything is. There's one bulkhead in the middle back here that passes through the firewall. Everything else comes out with a motor. You disconnect the one bulkhead, pull the motor, the wiring, everything comes out with it. You can the Pro Charger can stay on it. You can pull the whole shebang like that if you want. Simplify. That's what we tried to do. We never knew when we were going to have to change a motor between rounds, and not even necessarily between rounds, but in Nebraska, when we raced 3 nights in a row, and we got 1 night off, then we raced 3 nights in a row, and that was for America's Top 20. Well, when we did that, it was stressful on all the cars. Like everybody was breaking everything, and so you'd go to the RV park at night where we had all our toters and everything at, and guys would have motors on cherry pickers and the bottom ends out of them and replacing bearings and all that. And so I think that's going to be the new norm for us. We're going to be secluded into different areas and fast-paced filming, and if that is the case, I want to be able to change everything quickly if we have a problem. What else, Hav? What else am I missing up here?
Up front,
We got big 2.5-inch zoomies.
Yeah.
The most simplified exhaust ever is a zoomie. It's straight pipes out to the side of the fender, and with turn-ups at the end. And I mean, this is some of the nicest pair of zoomies I've ever seen in my life. The guy that built them is really talented, but they're loud.
Yeah,
Wow. Yeah, it's very, very loud, and we love it. I love the way it sounds. But some people, it blows hats off and blows their eardrums out and everything else. Brakes are all the same, all strange stuff.
you
It's the only thing I use.
Master cylinder and reservoir.
Yeah, the old
Strange.
master cylinder was from 2014, so I kind of considered that a wear item. We changed the master cylinder, put a strange master cylinder on it, remote reservoir. That's what that little tank is up top. Bleeding and filling, brake assembly, any brake work is really easy now. A lot of people have probably seen these, but this right here is an oil pump primer. So it's pretty neat. A lot of people say you gotta, and it's the right move, but expensive motors that require a little bit of maintenance, more than often, they like to, pre-oil the motors before you fire it up, so you don't want to start the motors up dry. Mm-hmm. Well, what that little thing does is one of the coolest things I've ever seen. The way it works is you basically put a socket on this, run a drill at the top, spin it over. It pulls oil from the oil pan and starts sending it through the oiling system. So if you just sit there and hold the drill for what, a minute?
Yeah.
You've oiled the whole motor. It's got
60 pounds of oil pressure.
It's got 60 pounds of oil pressure. Lubricates the rockers, the bottom end, the top end, the push rods. Everything's lubricated. So that's one of the coolest things we got in the car. And
New lightweight system 1.
and that's made by Peterson.
Yeah. Moved the fuel pump over on the drive.
Yeah, the fuel pump used to be on the front of the motor before. Pro Charger's got this cool little setup to where they've got a drive off of their gear drives to mount the fuel pump. So there's actually the fuel pump, very short feed line. It's got a 1 foot feed line coming from the bottom of the tank. So never going to get air in that. You're never going to cavitate it. We've got an electric pump over here next to the supercharger to prime the system. So that will put fuel into the regulator, push it up to the rails, and basically just hold fuel pressure. So when you bust it off and your injectors fire, you got 60 pounds of fuel pressure right away. A lot of people I've seen make a hit, don't start their car after they pull the chutes, getting ready to tow their car up to the line, getting ready to fire it up to go do a burnout, and the car won't start. Because it's cavitated, it's got air in the system, and they don't have a primer. And so I've seen guys lose races because they go and just cranking, and the motor never starts. So that's why we have that.
Your little horn, you gotta put a horn on there. So
It's a street car, so we got a horn right here. But why we really truthfully have that is because people always walk in front of us in pits, and we got, a lot of times it's Javi in the car or me in the golf cart, and I'm pushing the golf cart because we're late probably. So I'm pushing the golf cart at 30 mile an hour through the pits, and then a group of people walk out in front of us, and we can honk at them until they move. So inside here, quite a bit has changed. The upper frame rail bars are different now. They're a little taller and a tiny bit narrower than they were, or sorry, tiny bit wider than they were. So those were redone to house the new location for the engine because everything got moved back. Shifter's now mounted on top of the titanium transmission tunnel. The column, again, guys, remember one of my main goals was wait. So when one of your friends is the titanium guy, you're constantly calling him going, hey man, what else can we do?
What can we make out of titanium?
So we made the column out of titanium. We made the foot pedals out of titanium. I said it like an Oklahoma hick. Out of titanium. Let's see. Up here is a transmission vent tank. So transmission overflows. It's got a vent that goes right here. Easy to drain. Also goes back in the transmission afterwards. One of my other pet peeves is not being able to see when we're in some crazy street that you can't see anywhere. So boom. When Jonathan Homeyer wired this car, I said, please put me LEDs everywhere you could find them. And he did a great job because when it's dark, this thing is lit up like a Christmas tree. You can see, like if you get issues with the transmission at the last minute, which we've broke fittings, the cable's falling off and everything else. We can click these lights on. You can see almost everything in the car and work on it last minute if you need to. I say lightweight. So one of the other things we did is while I was at RK, he said, hey, you got a Kirky aluminum seat in here, and those are really good, and you've had it in here for 10 years, but they now make those, there's people that make them very similar out of carbon. So I told him to get me one. He got me a carbon seat. We put it in. Fits great. Almost fits just like the other Kirky seat did. The Kirky seat cover didn't fit on the new carbon seat very good. So I took the seat out, took it to our friend Eli at Eli's Easy Trim in Oklahoma City, and he does a lot of seat covers and upholstery, a lot of upholstery work on a lot of the lowriders in town, and he does really good work, and he banged that out in like a couple days. And I mean, he did it a little different. It's not really race style, but it fits good, and I'm secure in the seat. It looks pretty cool. He did a really good job. But everybody makes fun of me for that, so they're all going to say, man, your seats, you got a bougie-ass seat. Yeah, I kind of do have a bougie-ass seat.
It looks cool, though.
It does look cool. He did a good job. He did that all on his own. He came up with that. I just said, hey, I want red and black, and that's what we came up with, so it was cool. The wheel tubs were falling out of the car. These are the same wheel tubs that have been in it forever, but they got taken out, cleaned, and re-siliconed in, resealed in. So now I don't get as much rubber smoke in here and rocks and everything else. So these are all resealed, put back in. I mean, this car took an absolute beating in the last 5 years.
And still got the FT600.
FT600, all the wiring. Like, look how simple the wiring is now. Like, you guys saw it in the first video. It was just terrible. Well, here's all of the wiring right here. I mean, relays for, like, staging and different things and trans brake. This is the peak and hold. Like, this is the peak and hold. These are peak and hold. So it's basically every 8 injectors gets a peak and hold. So these are basically injector drivers. So there's 4 injector drivers. Here's 2, here's 2. There's the O2 controller. There's a relay board. I mean, everything is super clean, super nice, super easy to mess with. I mean, it's just a way different of a car.
Mm-hmm. And it's not a bird's nest anymore.
And it's not a nasty bird's nest.
You know what you're looking at.
It's almost like I got a new car, but I didn't. I just got the old car redone, and man, they did a fantastic. Like, everybody that worked on this that had anywhere from people that worked on it to, I think even I had some pretty good ideas to do some stuff, but some of the stuff that I couldn't do or couldn't come up with, those guys really like made into reality. So RK does a badass job. Jonathan Hellmeyer does a badass job. All those guys are awesome. They gave me above and beyond, to be honest with you. I got no nitrous bottles, Ricky.
I've heard it.
Yeah, people have said it. Yeah, we've got a carbon. We got a carbon air bottle, which is a fresh air bottle that goes to your helmet. I don't use it very much, to be honest, but it's in here.
It's not filled with nitrous.
And it's not filled with nitrous, like some people say. I got a CO2 bottle in here. Other than that, man, it's just like necessities. That's what I put in. That's what we put in the car. If it wasn't necessary, it didn't go in.
Yeah, you moved it closer to you so you can actually reach it.
Yeah,
in case somebody.
that's true. So, one of my goofy buddies one time, we were in a really important race in Florida, No Prep Kings 3, and this bottle was over here, and so I can't reach it, right? So, one of my good friends, won't name any names. If anybody else wants to name his name, it's fine.
Michael Bean.
Yeah, did you call?
Yeah, right. Yeah. So I had that bottle over here, and his only job, he came to Florida to watch this race, and his only job was to turn the bottle on before I go race. So we're down to the last race, and I draw Murillo, right? And Murillo and I have already been going back and forth for a whole season, and a bunch of internet shit talk and all kinds of other stuff. And I draw him, and I'm like, cool, I'm getting ready to mess this dude up, right? So, because my car was running good, like flawless, no problems, no issues, and I knew that it wasn't going to be close. Well, Michael Bean comes over here and doesn't know righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, and he righty-tighties it, I guess, is the only thing I can think of. The only thing we can think of is either, no, Bub, no, don't touch the buttons. The only thing we can think of is either Javi opened it and Bean closed it. We don't really know for sure, but nonetheless, it ended up closed. Well, what that controls is all of my everything boost controller. So I left the line. I'm supposed to leave with 17 pounds and ramp in 70 out the back door with my twins. And I left the line with 12 and ramped in about 10 on the track. So Murillo dusts my ass by 23 car lengths, and I'm done for the day. And then all of a sudden, Kai Kelly's on my tail, about to take my championship away. Now, you guys saw the outcome. We ended up pulling it off, thank God. But I might have killed him otherwise. He single-handedly tried to sabotage me. I was actually accusing him of working for Mike Murillo. Yeah, cool. To make the season more challenging. Because I could have locked the season up by that race. All I had to do was win that race, and we had a good race car. We had a good opportunity to do it. Nope, didn't happen. Not only did I not win, I went out first round. And Kai Kelly, who was the only other person that could chase me. Yes, sir.
I'm gonna turn off the light.
Well,
Second round.
yeah. Anyway, Kai Kelly wins it. Ends up closing the lead between him and I. Okay, is that fun? Good. There you go. Okay. Yeah. So we, needless to say, because of all that, we moved the CO2 bottle closer to where I could reach it. So now, right before. What you doing, bub?
I'm putting the phone.
Okay. Right before we go in, I always reach over and open the CO2 bottle, whether that way it's my responsibility. So ultimately, if it gets closed and it gets left off, it's my responsibility. Now, it doesn't do as much now because of the supercharger. The only thing it really controls is parachutes and shifting.
Which is very important.
Shifting is important, but I could always catch it and slap it myself, so it's like not the end of the world if the CO2's not on. That pretty much covers everything on the inside of the car, I think. Cosmetically, we didn't really do much to the car, except we did get new doors for the car. All right. You guys know I've kept saying, my goal was get the car lighter, get the car lighter. The doors that were on the car were very heavy. They were 26, 27 pounds a piece. These doors are 8 pounds a piece. These are carbon fiber doors. And so you can't see that they're any different. Oh, except for my buddy Todd sent us some titanium to make titanium window frames. But you can't see much as any different because obviously we painted the doors the same. We had to do some work on the front clip, so it got painted. So one of the things we did was we called up Flatline Auto Works, and because they're in Atlanta, Georgia, my car was at RK Racecraft, which was basically the outskirts of Atlanta, and we said, hey, we need some paint work. They stepped up, and what I needed was somebody to knock it out because they didn't have a lot of time. They stepped up and painted the doors, the front clip, the quarters, because the quarters were all cracked, the paint was all cracked and everything. From tire shake and just beating up on it for the last 3-4 years.
Rocks and all, yeah.
Rocks and everything else. And the car, they did a badass job. The car looks great. The paint, they didn't paint the deck, they didn't paint the wing, the deck lid, or the roof. So the whole, the match is good. They did an awesome job. Kind of just want to give them a shout out because if anybody's in Atlanta that need paint work, call it Flatline. They do really, 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 really good work. So, everybody knows that I like my stuff to look good, and I know we're going to abuse it. I know it's going to get scratched up. I know it's going to get beat up, but we're trying to give it the best shot, right? And with a car like this, I'm in tight with the guys at Expel, and Expel does clear bra stuff. So Glass Life stepped up and got with Expel, who actually calling it Glass Life. Introduced me to the guys at Expel, and we all got together and they clear brawled the whole car. They wanted to do it. The Expel guys are fans of the show. They like the Fireball, so is Glass Life, and so it just worked out.
Self-healing.
And yeah, it's a self-healing material. I can throw my laptop on the roof and I don't really worry about it. So when we did a whole makeover of the whole car, I spent a lot of money trying to get this. Took money that I won, put it back in the car, and I wanted to kind of protect the paint job and try to keep the car from looking as best as possible, so we decided to do that. So the whole car's clear broad.
And that shows a lot of people ask questions like, what do you clean your car with?
Yeah, right.
And that has a lot to do with how it looks.
You're right, because they think that we just keep it real clean all the time,
yeah.
And the truth is we don't. We're not very good at it. We were actually talking about today, Javi's really good at keeping the thing going, but he's really terrible. He'll have oily black hands and he'll just go all over the car.
We're more go, not so much show.
Yeah,
he's a lot of show and go.
Yeah,
I'm mostly
he's
show.
just go. And
go.
I like both. But that being said, we joke around about it. I give him a hard time because I'll get in my car and it's got look like somebody tried to climb on the roof with black hands or whatever. It's no big deal. But what's cool about the protective stuff is it wipes off easy. You spray it with glass cleaner or put detail or whatever, and it wipes off. It's no problem. So I sound like a commercial, but I just really impressed with stuff. So
Wouldn't use it.
I wouldn't use it. It wasn't good. So if you guys have a nice car that you want to get clear brought or something, look up Expel or whatever. They'll kind of send you, just put you in the right direction. What else? We didn't change anything in the back of the car. Well,
The wheelie bars.
wheelie bars are different. So back in. Hey, turn on our look underneath here. Turn on our handy dandy light. There it is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So what that's for is when you see us backing up, we do a burnout, and then we're backing up, right? Well, we want to be able to back over the burnout because the point is you get your tires hot, you get the ground hot, you lay rubber down, you go, and you leave from that same spot. Well, you don't pay attention to what you're doing. I've seen it so many times. You leave with half your tire in and half your tire out. So what the light does when I'm backing up is it lets Javi figure out where to put me. And so this light was Javi's idea. He was like, give me a light so I can see what I'm doing. So that works really good at nighttime.
Really good.
Really good, yeah. So we have that. Carbon bars. So carbon wheelie bars, right? And I saw comments, people go, oh my gosh, it's got carbon wheelie bars. What the heck? Well, my buddy Kevin Rivenbark owns and runs MBM, and they specialize in different carbon things, and carbon wheelie bars is one of those things. I was trying to figure out how to get weight out of the car. Well, look, chromoly bars are not very heavy, but carbon bars are lighter. So if you can make carbon bars work, and some people can't because they're too stiff, because carbon is stiff, it's another way to get weight out of the car. So I got my chromoly bars just in case, but so far these things have worked really well. Yeah, they were expensive, but I spent my money on this thing this go round to make the car lighter and make the car work better.
Better put it back into kind of better your program.
Yeah, right. Better on program. This thing's won me. I've won a good chunk of money with this thing, a lot, and it doesn't make sense for me to not put a little more money back in the tool that I used to win the money with. Right. And it was time. It was time. This thing was falling apart, man. I mean, to be honest with you, it was beat. It had the X brace beat out of it. It had cracks in some of the frame rail at the top. The wheelie bar heims were worn out. The anti-roll bar, which is, you can't really see it, but the anti-roll bar was all brand new. It's got a big, solid Mazir bar at the top, and the anti-roll bar was a custom one-off thing that a guy did that built the car originally, and it was really cool and it worked for a long time. But it took neoprene bushings, and to service it was kind of hard. But it just fell apart there towards the end. It just got raced to death. It was not made to do what we did with it. I mean, a lot of these cars are built, and guys race them 6 times a year for a weekend. We might race them 6 times in a week, you know, with the different TV shows and the fact that I love racing. We go race if we're not on TV or whatever. So, like, if you mix in the TV show stuff that everybody knows that we do, plus the stuff that we just go do to go have fun, I mean, that's what we do. We race.
And like, I mean, right before you kind of tore the car down, man, it was
getting rough.
Yeah, it was not working.
Going. Yeah, we changed the anti-roll bar because if we get after it, the car would go left. And if you've ever seen cars, guys talk about, man, I went really fast and I tried to crank it up and the car went left. It's very common. You got to, like, the rear end has to be set up to accommodate with rear steer and so on and so forth. But for me, the anti-roll bar wasn't doing its job. So we fixed the anti-roll bar. The car's not gone left one time since we have had it back out. And the best 60-foot the car ever had before was a 1 flat, and it's been a 979 60-foot. So it is considerably faster to the 60-foot than it was, and perfectly straight.
Got 1 flat right off the bat.
Yeah, the very first hit that we made in the car after changing everything over, we're like, let's go let go of the button. We let go of the button, it goes 1 flat, and it felt slow. And I was like, hey, I think we're going to have a good car. And we do. So the car itself, again, hats off to everybody that had anything to do with it, because the car itself works, I mean, amazing, to be honest. Yeah.
That's about it.
What else, Hoff?
Stroud, we got some new parachutes.
Yeah, we got new parachutes. Parachute
Seat
bags,
belts, keeping you
seat belts.
safe. Keeping
Yeah.
you safe.
Pretty much all my safety stuff is all Stroud components.
Yeah.
And it wasn't before, and we kind of updated a lot of that stuff. The old faithful Fireball license plate, which is real.
It is
and
real.
is tagged.
And is about to fly off.
It is about to
one
fly
day.
It is about to rip off because the wind has pushed it back and ripped it at the top here. So we're going to need to get a new one of those here pretty soon.
Such a small part that can ruin your whole day. The fuel regulator, everybody's there. Send us a new one.
Yeah, Weldon hooked us up with a fuel regulator.
That'll make
so we
you
updated the.
Take
we
some
put
life off your. Take some years off your life.
Yeah. That's very true. That almost cost us the championship.
Not their fault.
No, it's just because we raced the car to death, you know. But
That was the problem we were having when we raced Amarillo.
no, it wasn't. It was because you didn't turn the CO2 on. Good try though. I don't know what else. I can't think of. I really can't think of anything else. I think that answers a lot of questions everybody had. Anything that, like.
What, you running Mickey's or Hoosiers?
Ooh, good question, Rick. Are we running Mickey's or Hoosiers? Isn't that? We're running Hoosiers.
Yes.
We're running Hoosiers.
What day? What show you watched last?
Yeah, it depends on what stencil we have out. No, we're running Hoosiers. We've always ran Hoosiers. We may have tried to trick people before, but we don't do that anymore. So we always run Hoosiers. We do have Mickey front runners on the car, but that is only because Hoosiers does not make the tire size that we need. But I hear that they're on their way. They're getting ready to come out. And as soon as they get out, we'll probably throw some Hoosiers on the front of it. Man, I don't know. I think we've got everything. There's a lot of people ask about tele marks. Are you looking at the comments? Come over here, Colton. Everybody asks us about our tally marks. I get this question everywhere we go. What are all these tally marks here? Okay, that's how many runs are on the engine. We keep track of how many runs are on the engine because we change the rods in these things on a regular. We try to set it at a certain number, and that keeps track of how many hits are on the motor. The Pro Chargers, we keep track of how many hits are on the Pro Chargers, so we know if they fail or if they don't fail, we have to service them. We have to change the oil, so we do that. The drives are independent. They have their own service program also. They have fluid stuff inside of them. So those get serviced on a regular basis. And these little tally marks you see on everything, our tires have tally marks. we keep track of everything we do. If we don't do that, him and I don't have good memories.
Terrible.
He's definitely smoked all his away. Mine, I just have a terrible memory, and so I don't really have any excuse other than I just forget everything. So that being said, we keep track of stuff, man. That's what we do.
Basically, just
Yeah.
He won't forget that one.
Yeah, I'm not gonna forget that. That's what I'm not gonna forget, Bean.
The little red marks just to make shit's not falling apart.
Yeah, the little red marks. People ask us about that. So a lot of times. With the Pro Charger motors, they're more violent. They shake more.
Sounds like marbles are in your motor.
Sometimes it can, but look, we mark everything because you can see. So let's pick a good spot right here. All right, those two line up. That fitting's tight. If that thing is here, that fitting ain't tight, and it has rattled itself loose. So we go back over everything. We constantly make sure all those lines are lined up. It's not foolproof, but it helps dramatically.
That's about it.
Man, I really think.
I think we covered it. The next video we'll give you guys we'll give you one. We're going to service the motor. So we're going to change rods of the motor, change cylinder heads, and we'll show you like valve intervals and all that type of stuff. But we'll do a whole video on that. We'll show you guys how we do it. I've read comments that a lot of people would like us to show more of what goes on between rounds and how we take care of the car and all that type of stuff. So we're trying to listen to you guys and give you back what you want. What else, Javi?
And like, you think that thing's pretty right now?
The inside of it's real pretty.
The inside,
yeah. The inside of the motor's real pretty.
Y'all get to see one.
It's like some jewelry.
This is gonna kick my ass trying to torque these heads down.
What's the torque on them,
I
Mom?
think it's like 250.
250.
250 on the big ones.
Yeah.
And by the time you get one done, you don't want to do the other side.
Yeah. I'm probably gonna have to help on the torque. I have a feeling this time.
No, you got a couple questions. Everybody wants to know what was the starter deal.
Oh, everybody wants to know what the starter deal was. Oh, well, from the last video.
Yeah.
I don't really know what the starter deal was. Let's be honest.
Man,
Yeah, okay. Let's talk about that video real quick. People think that I was upset. Wasn't upset. Was not. First of all, I was just trying to take everything in because it's the first time I saw my car. I was not upset with what RK did whatsoever. They knocked it out of the park as far as I'm concerned. The starter thing was annoying, but had nothing to do with them. I was just ready to fire the car up and it wouldn't start. So because it was going, but we did. I'll be honest. We don't really know. We figured out. We got a new starter. We put it on and did it again right away. So it's not the starter, obviously. What I think it was, and I'll explain why I think it was this, was an alignment issue with being off by a 32nd, like a very tiny amount. Because after we went and started making passes with it, because we never could pinpoint why randomly it would hang up, after we went and made passes with it, it never did it again. So we ran the car real hard, like 5 times, and to date, it's never done it again. So either it's going to pop up at a really terrible time, or I think it was a clearance issue, and it probably just needed a tiny bit, just everything needed to settle and move around a little bit as far as the starter goes, and it hadn't had a problem.
it may or may not have self-clearance itself.
It might have self-clearance, which sounds
So,
terrible.
and it fixed itself,
But there's
never happened.
There's no marks on it, so it's really weird. I can't really answer it exact, but I just know it's not broken now. What else?
Man, I'm pretty sure you covered everything else before that, because you covered the whole.
Any
car.
totally ridiculous hater comment? I know we get hater comments on that.
Oh, well, people saying
no
that
haters.
you got beat up by some Pro Chargers before, so.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's a good one. Why did I change it to this? Some people said, did I change because of Axeman? No, I did not change because of Axeman. His car runs good. I ain't taking anything away from him. That car, the new car, was Pro Charger in December of 2019. So that's what made me change this car. Now, just so happens, their stuff works really good on the street, and you can't hide it. A Pro Charger combination does work well on the street. It's easier to control and all that. I did it to try to keep my combos the same, and to just do something different. I've been a turbo guy for how long? As long as any of us can remember, 25 years.
Yeah.
Since turbos first came out, we were one of the first people to do it down this area, for the most part, in the old Mustang. And we had a great time, and I've always just said, I just want turbos, that's all I want. And I'm there maybe a time where I go back to that, but I wanted something different. This platform's different, and I like it. It's cool, it's easy to drive, it's easy to tune, it's lighter weight. Anytime you can be lighter weight, your parts don't break as much, your rear end, your transmission, all that type of stuff. What else?
I think that's it.
Okay. So we've done this video once. 10 days ago, we would have had this up. But Colton's camera froze and we lost everything. So we did it again for you guys. And I said in the first video, subscribe. Please smash the subscribe button. It's going to enter you in a chance to win some type of cool fan prize pack that Colton's going to put together. Yep. And then, like I said, when we reach 100,000, which that's a little ways away, but when we reach 100,000, we're going to do something big. I don't know, we're going to give away a car or something. I haven't figured it out yet.
Yeah, whatever you say big.
It's going to be big.
It's going to be cool.
big.
Yeah.
We're going to do a build on a car or a truck. Ricky said do a truck. So maybe a truck, maybe a car, I don't really know. Probably going to have some type of power adder, going to make some good horsepower. We're going to give Ricky's truck away. Yes! We're going to give Ricky's truck away. He's going to love that. Anyway, so like, subscribe, get an apparel if you want. Hey, listen, comment. We welcome all the comments. We read most of them. It don't matter if you're trolling us or if you're giving us constructive criticism or whatever it is, we're probably going to read it. So, or laugh about it. Like a lot of times we'll come in here the next day and laugh about comments that we see. So we appreciate that.
Yeah, continue just to let us know what you want to see.
Yeah, what you want different. We try to listen to y'all. We heard you guys say, talk to the camera more, and we're trying to do all that type of stuff. So sometimes when we go to our racetracks, I get into race mode and we just race, and that's what we do. And we got to remember, you guys know what we're doing. So we're trying to get there to where we explain to you guys what we're doing more between rounds to the car, trying to bring you into what we do so that you know, when you're watching our different videos, you go, hey, I know what they're doing, and you can watch the next guy when you're at the next racetrack and you know what he's doing then all of a sudden. So trying to give you guys an inside peek of things. Hope you like it. Let us know if you do, if you don't.
We gotta load this thing up and go to racing.
We're filming the night for the street. So the trailer's outside. We're putting the front end on and we're wheeling this out, putting it in the box.
I vote for more Tahoe donuts.
So, yeah.
Tahoe donut.
Yeah, Tahoe donuts are cool. Definitely. If you guys, like I said, leave us some feedback. We'll watch it. We'll pay attention to it and we'll change it up. Thank you.
Yep.
See you later.
See you guys next time.